Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat?
You know, you look at this game and there was nothing complimentary about the game. In particular, early on in the game, we weren't really able to get anything going offensively. Defensively, you know, we allowed them to have too many long drives. And so therefore, in the first half, I think the time of possession was out of whack. It kind of got a little bit more balanced up as the game went along, but I think that's been a challenge for us. We're not winning the line of scrimmage on either side of the ball. I think that's a challenge for us right now. And so, look, we've got, you know, obviously a few days here before we have to play again. We'll go out to L.A. Next week, and we've got to find a way to put our guys in the best position to have some success, and we got to find a way to play better football.
Dennis Allen, after the Saints got walloped by the Denver Broncos 33-10. I got a guy in studio here that played professional sports, was on some good teams, and was on some bad teams as well. The big question everybody's asking now that you've lost 5 in a row, that hasn't happened since Sean Payton's last year. And not just that you've lost, you're starting to check off these historical boxes, right? One more time of allowing, if the Saints allow 25 points to the Chargers a week from Sunday, that'll match the franchise record for most consecutive games allowing 25. In 15 years in New Orleans, Sean Payton only lost by 20 at home twice in 15 years. Dennis Allen, Saints have now done it back-to-back weeks, actually within a span of 5 days. Like, you're starting to get to some historical significance, which begs the question, like, if they quit on Dennis Allen. Alvin Kamara was asked if the team is still supporting Dennis Allen. Here, let's do it, short answer, but here's what he said.
That's not a question for me to answer. I don't got nothing for that. You said the team, like, as in the locker room. I mean, we're here. We go to work every day. We got to work. We just got to keep working and figure out what we got to do to put string wins together.
Okay, I hear that as someone who's never in a locker room, and he's asked, "Is the team supporting Dennis Allen?" And you heard what he said. Like, he didn't say yes. He said, we got to find a way to string wins together. I read that as, hell no, we don't support Dennis Allen. Like, they know what's happening, and he's lost their trust and their confidence. You heard that. What do you think?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, if it would have been we support him, he would have said that. I mean, he would have came out and defended his guy. That's the professional, nice way of not throwing your coach under the bus. You know, the interesting thing is, I mean, it's so many in football. You know, football is different than baseball. Baseball, it's always like one of the position coaches goes. You know, in football, it's like always seems like the head guy's the one that, you know, that takes it pretty hard.
Well, you mean like gets fired?
Yeah.
Well, the thing
like,
here
you don't
is,
see an offensive coordinator leave in the middle of a year.
Yeah, no, that happens. Like, they get fired. Yeah, like coaches will. I mean, I mentioned in 2015, the Saints fired Rob Ryan after they got blown out by Washington. Things had really started to deteriorate. They lost 47-17 or something like that, and they fired him. So I think that could happen. Here's the problem. Dennis Allen is the defensive coordinator. Like, I know Joe Woods has the title, but Dennis Allen's the one actually calling all the defensive plays and everything like that. He's not going to fire himself. So will management fire him? It doesn't seem like that's the case. So what do you think? Like, were you ever part of a situation where there was a managerial change in season?
Mm-mm.
Was there ever a situation where...
Was I? When Dusty got fired? Or when... No, I was not.
Because you were on some bad teams in Chicago. You're on some good teams. You're on playoff teams in Chicago, but you're on bad teams too. Did it ever get to that point?
Yeah.
Like, what's it like internally whenever you have those really bad skids?
Oh, it's miserable. I mean, just going to the field, going to the complex, the facility, you know, yeah, it's two totally different things, but it's the same in a sense of, like, you show up and you know that you're not going to win. Like, you know, and you know you have nothing to play for, and you're just hoping to get to the end of the season as fast as you can. You know, the manager, the coach is, you know, a dead man walking, basically. He's not going to be there the following year. You you hear the boos. I mean, that was a thing in Chicago. You know, you hear the boos, and you're out there trying, and you know, but it is not a fun, enjoyable scenario whatsoever.
So Kamara, you mentioned you hear the boos. So Kamara, after the game, was asked about the fans booing and then the fans leaving. This is what he said.
I'm gonna get away from your question for a second and just say it's a couple of unacceptable things going on. One, our play is unacceptable, and two, the dome being empty or emptying out. I think I saw some fans leaving the second quarter. That's unacceptable, but I don't blame the fans. It's on us because they come to see us play and perform, and when we don't perform, that's the results you get. But I've never experienced that, and if I was a fan, I'd leave too. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just not good enough right now. For whatever reason, we gotta figure it out.
I think the hardest part for guys like Kamara, Cam Jordan, some of these veterans, they were here for the good stuff, right? Like they were here
Absolutely.
in the playoff runs, the NFC Championship, the division titles, where the Saints were a contender every year. And this is the first time for Alvin to experience something like this. Now, I know he was there for the 5 straight losses in Sean's last year, but this is different. To be at 2-5 through week 7 is a totally different feeling to know, like, you haven't even hit your bye yet, and your season's cooked. Like, you're done. They're playing out the string. So it's very unfamiliar for these veteran guys. For the young guys, they don't know any different. This is the only thing that they've experienced in the NFL. So I look at this just as a very tricky situation because it's unfamiliar for everybody around the organization, but it's part and parcel with what happened when you maintained and tried to continue the previous era, where you maintained Pete Carmichael and Dennis Allen and a lot of the veteran players. You just try to transition everything seamlessly. And clearly, the point that I've made for a couple of years about Dennis Allen is, like, not every lieutenant's meant to be a general. He's a great defensive coordinator. His defense is playing like crap right now, but he's a terrible head coach. And we have a large enough sample now. You know, he's pushing 80 games as a head coach. He's 26-51 as a head coach. So I look at this and I go, there's nothing really still to be answered. You know what I mean?
Right.
About Dennis Allen. Like, we know what he is. So what do you do? Like, do you make the change now in season? Do you wait for the bye? Do you wait to the end of the season? Like, what do you think?
I mean, I don't. I would say bang him now, you know, and start the reboot process. But you're really not going to get any of that until the offseason. Like, whoever you bring on is going to be just there. I don't see how that really does anything. You know, you keep him there. Plus, I want him to keep losing. I mean, I would like him to lose every game from here on out and see if we can draft as high as they possibly can. So no, that's why I would like to keep him. But you don't see like an opportunity for the thing to turn around. You've got
This year?
Yeah, this year's.
I agree.
Yeah, you've got your quarterback's injured, and even when he was healthy, he wasn't great. There's not a whole lot of playmakers on the team. You know, I mean, it wasn't there. But look, this isn't new. We knew this last year. I mean, like, when they decided to keep him last year, they should have fired his ass last year. I mean, they should have cleaned house, all of them, from management all the way down, started the thing over. You know, it's too many relationships, too many friendships that are there. Like, that's the issue. The issue is not trying to win the football game. It's gotten too close. And they have not had enough success to justify that in recent years. And so you got to blow the whole thing up. I'm not saying it's easy to do. Doing it in the middle of the season, though, sucks for those players. I can promise you that.
But could I argue to the we got to go, but could I argue to the contrary that doing it in the middle of the season might actually inject some life? Like, sometimes sometimes you get an interim bump, right? And it's just a different voice and you can refocus. I mean, look, we saw this. I know it's college to pro, it's not the same thing, but in 2016, they fired Les Miles at the end of September. Ed Ogeron came in, and immediately there was some new energy and new life around around that football team. Now, I understand it's college, it's the NFL. It's not the same thing. I do understand that. But a year ago, Antonio Pierce was named the interim with the Raiders, and they had success. He ended up getting the job. Now, that doesn't look like that was a great decision. We'll see. The sample size is small. But sometimes maybe it is an acknowledgement from the front office to say this is unacceptable, and we're trying to find a way to win now.
Who on that staff would be the guy that would come in?
That's the great question.
I mean, it's not like there's some superstar sitting there that.
I mean, there's two options that you'd look at. I mean, Joe Woods, who's the defensive coordinator. Usually you would elevate a coordinator, right? So Joe Woods is the defensive coordinator. Then Clint Kubiak is the offensive coordinator. And so would you give the young offensive guy from the McVay-Shanahan tree an opportunity? And we see it. I mean, we see young guys who have that offensive background become head coaches, and maybe it would take someone youthful and energetic to an offensive-minded instead of the defensive-minded coach, the opportunity to get it going. And look, if you blew out Dennis Allen, you still got Joe Woods there, who is the defensive coordinator in title. He's not calling the defense. Maybe it's an opportunity to get him, but it would be a more seamless transition because you have that guy still in place.
We just saw it in Miami, the Marlins. I mean, it's all of them, every one of you guys, from the top down, out of here. Let's start this thing over. Let's reboot. I don't think it's just the coaches. I mean, I think front office, whole deal. It's too close, too many friendships, too many, backroom dinners. No, we need to try to win ball games.
But it goes back to the ownership too. I mean, the whole thing. I mean, Gail Benson does not have an heir, and so the succession plan of the organization involves Dennis Lauscha and Mickey Loomis. I mean, these people are part of the succession plan of the organization when she dies. Like, do you fire? If you didn't, then what do you do with the succession? Like, it's a very complicated thing. But to your point, I think that is part of the problem when you're too close. Part of the problem is, like, Mickey Loomis does not have any fear of retribution. I'm not saying anybody should go to work fearful of losing their job. Like, that's a crappy way to go to work anywhere. But at any job, there should be a standard of expectation. And when expectations aren't met, yes, there should be consequences for those expectations not being met. And in a high-stakes business like a professional sports franchise, there is much given, but there is also much asked. And when that is not met, people get fired. So,
yeah, I mean, it's like, whose decision is it to hire the folks? Okay, that's where the problem starts.
If there weren't so many layers to it, specifically in New Orleans, the decision is easy. It feels like this were any other franchise, the decision would be made and he'd be gone. Mm-hmm. Like, you wouldn't be going through this charade anymore. But there's so much interwoven connective tissue with all the layers of the organization that's very hard to unwind, which makes this complicated. And I don't know that it gets any better here in a week from Sunday when they go to LA to play the Rams. Or excuse me, to play the Chargers. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.